Chapter 1. The Storm and the Stranger. The rain hammered against the windshield like tiny fists demanding entry, and Elena Martinez white-knuckled the steering wheel as her ancient Honda Civic hydroplaned for the third time in 10 minutes. She should have stayed at the diner, should have waited out the storm like Marcus had suggested. But the thought of spending another minute in that place, watching him parade around with his new girlfriend, the one he'd been seeing for months while still coming home to Elena's bed, made her stomach turn. "Stupid, stupid, stupid," she muttered, squinting through the sheets of water cascading down the glass. The mountain road from Cedar Hollow to the next town over was treacherous on a good day. Tonight, with the worst storm in a decade bearing down on the Pacific Northwest, it was borderline suicidal. Thunder cracked overhead, so loud it seemed to shake the car's frame. In the brief illumination of lightning, she saw him, a figure stumbling along the road's shoulder. No coat, no umbrella, just a white dress shirt plastered to what looked like an impressive physique. Elena's nurse instincts kicked in before her common sense could intervene. She slowed the car, pulling as far onto the shoulder as she dared. The man turned at the sound of her approach, and even through the rain and darkness, she could see he was in bad shape. He swayed on his feet, one hand pressed against his ribs. She rolled down her window a crack. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" The man laughed, actually laughed, deep and bitter. "Unless you can turn back time, sweetheart, I'm beyond help." The smell of expensive whiskey wafted through the window crack. Drunk. He was drunk and walking along a mountain road in a storm. Elena's fingers hovered over her phone. She should call the police, let them handle it. But something in his voice, a rawness that went beyond intoxication, made her hesitate. "Get in," she heard herself say. "I'll drive you somewhere safe." He tilted his head, studying her through the rain. Lightning flashed again, and she got her first real look at him. Dark hair, longer than was fashionable, fell across sharp cheekbones. His eyes were an unusual amber color, almost golden in the brief illumination. Blood trickled from a cut above his left eyebrow. "You shouldn't pick up strangers," he said, but he was already moving toward the passenger door. "And you shouldn't walk drunk in a storm," Elena countered, unlocking the door. He folded himself into her small car with surprising grace for someone supposedly intoxicated. Up close, the smell of whiskey was accompanied by something else. Pine, earth, and something wild she couldn't quite place. His expensive clothes were ruined, the white shirt torn in several places, revealing glimpses of tanned skin and what looked like claw marks across his ribs. "Jesus, what happened to you?" Elena reached for the first aid kit she always kept in the back seat. "Were you in an accident? Those look like—" "Drive." His voice came out as more of a growl than a word. "Excuse me?" "Please." He closed his eyes, leaning his head back against the seat. "Just drive. Away from here. Now." The urgency in his voice sent a chill down Elena's spine that had nothing to do with her rain-soaked clothes. She put the car in gear and pulled back onto the road, stealing glances at her unexpected passenger. "There's a motel about 10 miles ahead," she offered. "I can drop you there." "No." His eyes snapped open, that unusual amber color seeming to glow in the darkness. "No motels? No hospitals? No police?" "Okay, now you're scaring me." Elena's hand moved toward her phone in the cup holder. "Don't." He didn't move, didn't reach for her, but something in his voice made her freeze. "I'm not going to hurt you. I would never—" He broke off, jaw clenching. "You saved me tonight. I won't forget that." "Saved you from what? The rain?" He laughed again, but this time it sounded pained. "Something like that." They drove in silence for several minutes, the storm gradually beginning to ease. Elena kept stealing glances at him, trying to reconcile the expensive clothes and cultured voice with the wild look in his eyes and the strange wounds on his body. "What's your name?" she finally asked. "Does it matter?" "It does if I'm going to be accused of kidnapping later." That got a real smile from him, transforming his face from dangerous to devastating. Damien. Damien Cross. The name tugged at something in Elena's memory, but she couldn't quite place it. "I'm Elena. Elena Martinez." Elena. He said her name like he was tasting it, rolling it around on his tongue. "It suits you. Bright light. How did you know?" "I know a lot of things." He shifted in the seat, wincing. "Including the fact that you're running from something too. Or someone." Elena's hands tightened on the wheel. "That's none of your business." "No, it's not." He was quiet for a moment. "But whoever he is, he's an idiot." "How did you—" "The diner uniform under your coat. The overnight bag in the back seat that's been there for days, judging by the dust pattern. The way you keep checking your phone even though you clearly don't want to see what's there." He opened his eyes, fixing that amber gaze on her. "And the fact that you're out here, in this storm, instead of safe at home." Elena felt exposed, like he could see straight through her skin to all the broken pieces she'd been trying to hold together. "You're very observant for a drunk person." "I'm very observant. Period. The drunk part is temporary." "Most things are." "Not everything." Something flickered in his eyes, there and gone before she could identify it. "Some things, once they happen, change you forever." The weight in his words made her chest tighten. She knew that feeling, that moment when your life split into before and after. For her, it had been 3 days ago, walking into her apartment to find Marcus in their bed with someone else. For him, she couldn't imagine what had put that look in his eyes. "Turn here," Damien said suddenly, pointing to a barely visible side road. "That's not a road, that's a death wish. Trust me." "I don't even know you." "No," he agreed. "But you stopped anyway. You saw someone who needed help, and you stopped, even though every rational part of your brain was probably screaming at you not to. That tells me everything I need to know about you, Elena Martinez." Against her better judgment, she turned onto the narrow road. It wound up through the trees, the rain finally slowing to a drizzle. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, the trees opened up to reveal a massive modern house, all glass and steel and impossible angles, perched on the mountainside like it had grown from the rock itself. "Yours?" Elena asked, though the answer was obvious. "One of them." He said it matter-of-factly, without arrogance. "One of them." Suddenly, the expensive clothes made more sense. The name Damien Cross clicked into place. She'd seen it in the business section Marcus was always reading. Tech mogul, venture capitalist, billionaire before 30. Also notoriously private, rarely photographed, never interviewed. "You're that Damien Cross. The one who's very grateful you stopped." He turned to face her fully, and in the soft light from the house's exterior lights, she could see his injuries more clearly. Definitely claw marks, too deliberate to be from an accident. "Would you come in?" "Let me at least offer you a drink, something to eat." "The storm's getting worse again." As if to emphasize his point, thunder rumbled overhead and the rain picked up intensity. "I should go," Elena said, even as part of her wanted to stay. There was something about him, something that called to something deep inside her she didn't even know existed. "You should," he agreed. "But I hope you won't." He paused, seeming to struggle with the words. "I don't want to be alone tonight. And I don't think you do either." The raw honesty in his voice undid her. How long had it been since someone had seen her, really seen her, instead of just looking through her? "One drink," she conceded. His smile was like sunrise after the storm. One drink. Chapter 2. The House of Secrets. The inside of Damien's house was even more impressive than the outside. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the valley below, though tonight there was nothing to see but rain and darkness. The furniture was minimal but expensive. All clean lines and dark leather. What caught Elena's attention, though, was the art. Paintings of forests and mountains, wolves and moons, all with an otherworldly quality that made her skin prickle. "The bathroom's down the hall, second door on the right," Damien said, pulling off his ruined shirt without ceremony. "There are towels in the cabinet." Elena tried not to stare at the expanse of muscled torso he'd revealed, marred by those strange wounds that looked even worse in proper lighting. 4 parallel gashes across his ribs, too precise to be accidental. "You need medical attention," she said, falling back on her professional training. "Those wounds need to be cleaned and dressed. You might need stitches." "They'll heal." He moved to a bar in the corner, his movements fluid despite the injuries. "They always do." "That's not how bodies work." "Mine does." He poured amber liquid into 2 glasses, whiskey from the smell. "Go get dry. There are clothes in the guest room across from the bathroom. They'll be too big, but they're better than what you're wearing." Elena wanted to argue, but she was shivering now, her wet clothes clinging uncomfortably. She made her way down the hall, noting the strange absence of personal photos or mementos. The house felt like a stage set. Beautiful, but somehow empty. The bathroom was luxurious, all marble and chrome. Elena peeled off her wet clothes, hanging them on the heated towel rack. In the mirror, she looked pale and drawn, her dark hair hanging in wet strings around her face. 3 days since her life had imploded, and she looked like she'd aged 3 years. The guest room held a closet full of men's clothes, all obviously expensive. She selected a soft gray sweater that fell to her thighs and a pair of drawstring pants she had to roll up 3 times. When she returned to the living room, Damien had changed into dark jeans and a black Henley. He'd cleaned the blood from his face, revealing a bruise blooming across his left cheekbone. "Better?" He handed her one of the glasses. Warmer anyway. She took a sip, the whiskey burning pleasantly down her throat. "Are you going to tell me what really happened to you? Would you believe me if I did? Try me." He studied her for a long moment, those amber eyes seeming to look right through her. "I was at a business meeting. It went badly." "Business meetings don't usually end with claw marks." "Mine do, sometimes." He moved to stand by the windows, looking out at the storm. "The corporate world can be savage." "That's not a metaphor, is it?" He turned to look at her, surprise flickering across his features. "What makes you say that?" "The wounds. The way you move, like you're used to being hurt and hiding it. The fact that you were walking in a storm instead of driving what I assume is a very expensive car." She joined him by the window, their reflections ghost-like in the glass. "And your eyes." "What about my eyes?" "They're not normal. The color, I mean. I've never seen eyes that color." "Genetic anomaly," he said, but there was something careful in his tone. "Like the fast healing?" He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, softly, "You're not afraid." "Should I be?" "Most people would be." "I'm not most people." "No," he agreed, turning to face her fully. "You're not." The air between them seemed to thicken, charged with something Elena couldn't name. She should leave. She should get in her car and drive away from this strange, beautiful man with his impossible house and his secrets. But something kept her rooted in place, something that felt bigger than fear or common sense. "Why did you really stop for me?" Damien asked. "I told you, I'm a nurse. I help people. Even when those people might be dangerous? Especially then. The words came out before she could stop them, surprising them both. Damien set down his glass and moved closer, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. He was taller than she'd realized, broader. He should have been intimidating, but instead, she felt oddly safe. "You have no idea what you've walked into," he said softly. "Then tell me." He raised a hand as if to touch her face, then dropped it. "Some secrets aren't mine to tell, and some truths would send you running." "I'm tired of running," Elena admitted, the whiskey loosening her tongue. 3 days ago, I found my boyfriend of 2 years in bed with someone else. In our bed. In the apartment I paid for because he was between jobs. Again. I've been running ever since. From the humiliation, from the pity in everyone's eyes, from the voice in my head that says I should have seen it coming. Elena. So maybe I don't care if you have secrets. Maybe I'm tired of normal and safe and predictable. Maybe I want something that doesn't make sense for once. Damien's eyes seemed to glow brighter, and for a moment, she could have sworn she saw something shift in them, something wild and inhuman. Then he blinked, and they were just unusual amber eyes again. "You don't know what you're asking for," he said, his voice rough. "Then show me." The lights flickered suddenly, and the house plunged into darkness. Elena gasped, instinctively reaching out. Her hand found Damien's chest, solid and warm. She felt him tense under her touch, heard his sharp intake of breath. "Power outage," he said, but his voice sounded strained. "The storm." Lightning flashed, illuminating his face for a split second. His eyes were definitely glowing now, a golden fire that should have been impossible. And his teeth, had they always been that sharp? "Damien? You need to go." The words came out as almost a growl. "Now, before—" Another flash of lightning, and Elena saw something impossible. His features were shifting, bones restructuring under skin, humanity bleeding away into something else. Something other. She should have screamed, should have run. Instead, she pressed closer, her other hand coming up to frame his face. "It's okay," she whispered, not understanding why she wasn't afraid. "I'm not going anywhere." "Elena, you don't understand." "Then help me understand." The lights flickered back on, and Damien stood before her, human again but trembling with the effort of maintaining the shape. His hands came up to cover hers, holding them against his face like anchors. "I'm not entirely human," he said, the words seeming to physically pain him. "I'm something else, something that most people think only exists in stories." A werewolf. It wasn't a question. Somehow, impossibly, she knew. His eyes widened. "How? I don't know. I just know. The same way I knew to stop for you. The same way I know I'm supposed to be here. This is dangerous, Elena. I'm dangerous. My world... Is it more dangerous than going back to mine? To a cheating ex who's probably already moved his new girlfriend into our apartment? To a life where I'm invisible? Where I give and never get anything back?" She stroked her thumbs across his cheekbones, feeling the tremor that ran through him. "At least this danger is honest." "You have no idea what you're saying." "Then tell me. All of it." Chapter 3. The Weight of Truth. Damien led her to a study lined with ancient-looking books and maps that seemed to move when she wasn't looking directly at them. He poured them both another drink. She was going to need it, he said, and began to talk. "My family has been in the Pacific Northwest for over 300 years, he started, settling into a leather chair across from where Elena had curled up on the couch. "We were among the first European settlers, though we weren't exactly what you'd call normal settlers." "Because you were werewolves?" "Because we were cursed." He took a long sip of whiskey. "My ancestor, Lucian Cross, fell in love with the wrong woman. She was the daughter of a powerful Native American shaman, already promised to another. When she chose Lucienne instead, her father cursed our bloodline. Every cross would carry the wolf inside them, never fully human, never fully beast. Elena absorbed this, surprised by how easily she accepted it. That sounds lonely. It is. We can't live fully in either world. Too human for the wild, too wild for civilization. He stood, pacing to the window. I've built this empire, this fortune, trying to find a place where I belong. But money doesn't buy humanity. The meeting tonight was with another pack. There are others like us, different bloodlines with different origins. The Silvermane pack wants this territory. They've been pushing at our borders for months. He touched his ribs where the claw marks were already fading. Tonight they decided to stop asking nicely. They attacked you? Their alpha challenged me. It's how our kind settle disputes. Combat, usually to submission, sometimes to the death. His reflection in the window looked haunted. I won, barely. But they'll be back. They know I'm alone, that the cross pack has dwindled to just me and a few distant cousins who want nothing to do with the old ways. Why are you alone? Elena asked softly. Damien was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Because everyone I've ever let close has either run in fear or tried to use what I am for their own gain. Because the wolf makes it impossible to fully trust anyone who isn't pack. And I have no pack. Because the curse doesn't just make us wolves. It makes us dangerous to anyone we care about. How? He turned to face her, and the raw pain in his eyes made her chest ache. We mate for life, Elena. When a wolf chooses someone, it's forever. But the bond, it changes the other person, makes them a target for our enemies, ties them to our world whether they want it or not. And if something happens to them... He trailed off, but she understood. The wolf would go mad with grief. Is that why you warned me? Why you keep trying to make me leave? You don't understand. He crossed to her in 3 quick strides, kneeling in front of the couch so they were eye level. From the moment you stopped for me, from the moment I caught your scent, my wolf recognized you. It's been clawing at me from the inside, demanding I claim you, protect you, keep you. The only reason I haven't completely lost control is sheer will in this. He held up his glass. Alcohol dampens the wolf's instincts, makes it easier to think clearly. Elena's heart was racing, but not from fear. What does that mean? That your wolf recognized me? It means you're my mate, the one person in the world meant for me. His hands clenched into fists on his thighs. But I won't do that to you. I won't trap you in my world, make you a target, take away your choice. What if I want to choose? You don't know what you're choosing. Then tell me. All of it. The good and the bad. Damien laughed bitterly. The good? You'd never be alone again. The bond between mates is... indescribable. It's like finding the missing piece of your soul. You'd be stronger, heal faster, age slower. You'd be able to feel what I feel, know when I need you. The pack, if I had one, would protect you with their lives. And the bad? Every other pack would see you as a weakness to exploit. You'd never be able to fully return to your human life. The bond, once formed, can't be broken except by death. And if something happened to me, the severing would likely kill you too. He reached up, his fingers ghosting over her cheek without quite touching. That's why I can't. Why we can't. Elena caught his hand, pressing it fully against her face. His skin was fever warm, and she could feel the slight tremor running through him. What if I said I don't care? Then I'd say the bond is already affecting you, making you feel things that aren't real. My feelings are real, Elena insisted. They might not make sense, but they're real. I feel like I've been sleepwalking through my entire life until tonight. Until you. Damien's control visibly cracked. His eyes flashed gold, and for a moment, she saw the wolf looking out at her, hungry and possessive and desperately wanting. Then he wrenched himself away, standing so abruptly he knocked over his glass. "I need you to go," he said, his back to her. "Please. Before I do something we'll both regret." "Damien! Leave!" The word came out as a roar, and when he turned, his face was partially transformed. Elongated jaw and sharp teeth, humanity and beast warring for control. Elena stood slowly, her heart breaking for the pain she could see him in. "I'll go," she said softly. "But this isn't over. I know what it's like to be alone, to feel like you don't belong anywhere. You're not alone anymore, whether you accept it or not." She gathered her still damp clothes and headed for the door. At the threshold, she turned back. Damien had collapsed into a chair, head in his hands, his whole body shaking with the effort of maintaining control. "For what it's worth," she said, "I would choose you. Wolf and all." She left before he could respond, driving back down the mountain through the dissipating storm. But she knew, with a certainty that should have frightened her, that she would be back. The pull she felt toward him, that recognition of like calling to like, wouldn't be ignored. She'd found where she belonged. Now she just had to convince him to let her stay. Chapter 4. The Pull of Fate. 3 days passed before Elena saw Damien again, though "saw" wasn't entirely accurate. She felt him, a presence at the edge of her consciousness, watching from the shadows. She'd catch a glimpse of amber eyes in the forest behind her rental cabin, hear a wolf's howl in the night that made her heart race with recognition rather than fear. She'd left the diner, unable to bear Marcus's attempts at reconciliation or the pitying looks from her coworkers. The cabin was a temporary solution, a place to figure out her next move. Or so she told herself. In truth, she'd chosen it because it was only 10 miles from Damien's house, close enough that the invisible thread between them didn't feel like it was pulling her apart. On the third night, she was reading by the fire when she heard scratching at the door. Not the careful knock of a human visitor, but the deliberate scrape of claws on wood. Her pulse quickened as she set down her book and moved to the door. "I know it's you," she said through the wood. "You can come in. Either form." There was a long pause, then the doorknob turned. Damien stood on her porch, human-shaped but wild-eyed, his clothes torn and muddy. He looked like he'd been living rough, sleeping in the forest rather than his glass and steel house. "I tried to stay away," he said, his voice hoarse. 3 days. I lasted 3 days." "Come in," Elena said gently, stepping aside. He entered warily, like he wasn't sure he should be there. His nostrils flared, and she realized he was scenting the cabin, checking for threats or other visitors. "It's just me," she assured him. "Has been since I rented it." "You rented a cabin." It wasn't a question. "My apartment felt wrong. Everything felt wrong after that night." She moved to the kitchen, pulling out the first aid kit she'd bought in town. "You're hurt again." "It's nothing." "Sit." She pointed to a kitchen chair, using her best nurse voice. "Let me look." To her surprise, he obeyed, sinking into the chair like his strings had been cut. Up close, she could see the exhaustion etched into his features, the dark circles under his eyes. "When did you last sleep?" she asked, gently cleaning a cut on his shoulder. "I don't know. The wolf doesn't want to sleep. It wants..." He trailed off, jaw clenching. "It wants what?" "You." The word came out raw, desperate. "It wants to claim you, mark you, make sure everyone knows you're mine. I've been fighting it every second, and it's killing me." Elena's hand stilled on his shoulder. "What happens if you stop fighting?" "I don't know. I've managed to avoid finding my mate for 35 years. I thought if I just stayed alone, kept to myself, I could spare someone this curse. Maybe it's not a curse, Elena said softly, resuming her ministrations. Maybe it's a gift you've been rejecting. He caught her wrist, his grip gentle but firm. You don't understand what you're risking. Then help me understand. Stop pushing me away and actually talk to me. Damien released her wrist, running his hands through his hair. The Silvermane pack has been watching you. I've been tracking them, keeping them away, but they know what you are to me. They'll use you to get to me. So protect me. Teach me about your world. Let me in instead of trying to shield me from it. Elena... She moved around to face him, cupping his face in her hands. I'm not some fragile thing that needs to be kept in the dark. I'm a trauma nurse. I've seen the worst humanity has to offer. I can handle your world. Can you handle this? His eyes flashed gold and she felt the change ripple through him. His features shifted, bones cracking and reforming, fur sprouting along his arms. But he stopped the transformation halfway, holding himself in a nightmarish middle ground between man and beast. Elena's heart raced, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she traced her fingers along the changed planes of his face, feeling the soft fur, the elongated jaw. You're still you, she whispered. I can see you in there. A sound escaped him, half-human sob, half-wolf whine. The transformation reversed, leaving him human and shaking in her hands. How? He asked brokenly. How can you look at that and not run? Because I see you, she said simply. All of you. And you're beautiful. He surged up, pulling her against him, burying his face in her neck. She felt him inhale deeply, a growl of satisfaction rumbling through his chest. You smell like mine, he murmured against her skin. Even without the mate bond fully formed, you smell like you belong to me. Maybe I do, she whispered. He pulled back to look at her, his eyes searching hers. You don't know what you're saying. I know that I've felt more alive in the past 3 days, even with you avoiding me, than I did in the past 2 years with Marcus. I know that when you're not around, it feels like I'm missing something essential. I know that the thought of going back to my old life feels like dying. She stroked his cheek, feeling the stubble and the warmth of his skin. I know that I want to choose this. Choose you. Whatever that means. The full moon is in 4 days, Damien said quietly. If I claim you then, under the moon, the bond will be unbreakable. You'll be tied to me, to my world, forever. 4 days, Elena repeated. Then we have 4 days for you to tell me everything, to make sure I understand what I'm choosing. And if you change your mind? Then you let me go and we both try to move on. Damien was quiet for a long moment, then nodded slowly. 4 days. But you stay close where I can protect you. The Silvermane pack won't wait forever. Deal. Elena stepped back, already missing his warmth. Are you hungry? I made soup earlier. The domestic normalcy of the question seemed to surprise him. Yes. I haven't eaten properly in days. As she moved around the kitchen, serving up bowls of homemade chicken soup, Elena felt something settle in her chest. This felt right in a way nothing in her life had before. Maybe it was crazy, maybe it was the bond affecting her judgment, but she didn't care. For the first time in years, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Chapter 5. Lessons in Trust. The next morning, Elena woke to find Damien had transformed in his sleep. A massive black wolf lay beside her bed, one amber eye cracking open as she stirred. She'd insisted he stay, pointing out that he couldn't protect her from the forest, and he'd eventually agreed to sleep on the floor. Apparently, his wolf had other ideas about comfort. Good morning to you too, she said, reaching out tentatively to run her fingers through the thick fur at his neck. The wolf made a rumbling sound of pleasure, pressing into her touch. It was surreal, petting what was essentially a wild predator. But she could feel Damien in there, his consciousness present even in this form. The wolf suddenly tensed, a growl building in his chest. He was on his feet in an instant, positioning himself between Elena and the door. She heard it then, footsteps on the porch. "Elena, you in there?" Marcus's voice made her stomach drop. "Your car's outside. We need to talk." The wolf's growl deepened, his lips pulling back to reveal impressive fangs. "It's okay," Elena whispered, though her heart was racing. "He's human. He's not a threat." The wolf gave her a look that clearly said he disagreed with that assessment. "Elena, please. I know you're in there. I'm sorry about everything. Jessica means nothing to me. It was a mistake." Elena stood, wrapping her robe tighter around herself. The wolf moved to block her path to the door, amber eyes pleading. "I have to deal with this," she told him. "He won't leave otherwise." The wolf huffed but stepped aside. As Elena reached for the door handle, she heard the telltale sound of bones cracking and reshaping. She turned to find Damien human again, hastily pulling on the sweatpants she'd left out for him. "I'll be right here," he said, his voice still carrying a hint of growl. Elena opened the door a crack. Marcus stood on the porch, looking haggard and remorseful. His perfectly styled hair was disheveled, his usually pristine clothes wrinkled. "What do you want, Marcus?" "To apologize, to explain, to fix this." He moved closer, and she caught the scent of alcohol on his breath. "Baby, please. 2 years. We had 2 good years. We had 2 years where I paid for everything while you found yourself," Elena corrected. 2 years where I worked doubles to cover rent while you spent your days at the gym and your nights apparently sleeping with other women. It was just Jessica, and it didn't mean anything. It meant something to me. She started to close the door, but Marcus caught it. "You can't just throw us away. Come back home. We can work through this." "Let go of the door, Marcus. Not until you listen." A hand appeared over Elena's shoulder, gripping the door frame. The wood creaked ominously under Damien's fingers. "The lady asked you to let go," Damien said, his voice deceptively calm. Marcus's eyes widened as he took in the shirtless man behind Elena. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who actually deserves her," Damien replied. "Now step back before I make you." "Elena, who is this guy? You've been here, 3 days, and you've already moved on?" "That's none of your business anymore," Elena said firmly. "We're done, Marcus. I'll have someone pick up my things from the apartment. Don't contact me again." "You can't be serious. You're throwing away 2 years for some rebound guy." Damien stepped around Elena, and Marcus instinctively backed up. There was something predatory in Damien's movements, something that triggered primitive alarm bells. "She's not throwing anything away," Damien said. "She's finally free of a parasite who never deserved her. And if you come near her again, if you so much as call her, you'll deal with me. Understood?" Marcus looked between them, his face flushing with anger and embarrassment. "This isn't over, Elena." "Yes, it is." She closed the door firmly, turning the lock for emphasis. Through the window, she watched Marcus storm back to his car, peeling out of the gravel driveway with unnecessary force. Only when his taillights disappeared did she realize she was shaking. "Hey." Damien's arms came around her, pulling her against his chest. "You're okay. He's gone." "I know. I hate confrontation." "You handled it perfectly." He pressed a kiss to the top of her head, the gesture so tender it made her chest ache. Though the wolf wanted to tear his throat out for touching what's mine. "I'm not yours. Yet," she reminded him, though there was no real protest in her voice. "Aren't you?" He turned her in his arms, amber eyes searching hers. "Your ex could see it. The connection between us. It's already there, even without the formal bond." Before Elena could respond, Damien tensed again, his head snapping toward the window. "We have company. Marcus wouldn't. Not him. Wolves." As if on cue, 3 massive wolves emerged from the tree line. 1 silver, 1 brown, 1 gray, all larger than any natural wolf had a right to be. They sat at the edge of the property, watching, waiting. "Silvermane?" Elena asked, surprised by how calm she felt. "Yes, they're testing boundaries, seeing how I'll react." Damien's hands tightened on her waist. "Stay inside. Damien, please, I need to know you're safe while I deal with this." She nodded reluctantly. Damien kissed her forehead once more, then headed for the door, his body already beginning to shift. By the time he stepped onto the porch, he was fully wolf, larger and darker than the 3 waiting for him. Elena watched from the window as the wolves circled each other, a complex dance of dominance and threat. The silver wolf, the alpha, she guessed, made several feints toward the cabin, only to be driven back by Damien each time. They were testing him, she realized, seeing how far he'd go to protect her. The dance went on for nearly an hour before the Silvermane wolves finally retreated into the forest. Damien remained on guard for another 20 minutes before finally returning to the cabin, transforming as he walked through the door. "They're getting bolder," he said, accepting the towel Elena offered. "They know I'm alone, that I can't guard you 24 hours a day." "So don't be alone," Elena said. "You mentioned cousins, other crosswolves, who want nothing to do with pack politics." He ran the towel through his hair, which had gotten longer since she'd first met him. The transformation seemed to affect it. They've chosen to live fully human lives, suppressing the wolf as much as possible. But if you called them, they might come, or they might decide it's not their problem. He tossed the towel aside, frustration clear in every line of his body. "This is why I didn't want. Why I tried to keep you away. You're in danger because of me. I'm in danger because another pack is trying to take your territory," Elena corrected. "That would be happening whether I was here or not. But now they have leverage. Or you have something worth fighting for." Damien looked at her sharply. "Elena, I'm just saying, maybe having someone to protect makes you stronger, not weaker." She moved closer, placing her hand over his heart. "The wolf didn't seem to have any trouble driving them off just now." "Because you were watching," he admitted quietly. "Because the wolf knew you were there, needed protecting. It made us stronger, more focused." "Then maybe that's your answer. Not isolation, but connection." Damien covered her hand with his skin still fever-warm from the transformation. "You make it sound so simple." "Maybe it is. Maybe you've been making it complicated because you're afraid." "I am afraid," he admitted. "Terrified. The last person I cared about, before I learned to keep everyone at distance, the Silvermane pack killed her. Not because she was my mate. She wasn't. Just because they could. Because they knew it would hurt me." Elena's heart broke for the pain in his voice. "When?" 15 years ago. Her name was Sarah. She was human, a friend who knew what I was and didn't care. She helped me through my first transformations, kept me grounded when the wolf was young and wild." His jaw clenched. "They tore her apart and left her for me to find. A message about what happens to anyone who gets close to a cross. Damien, I'm so sorry. That's why I built the walls, the fortune, the isolation. If I didn't care about anyone, they couldn't use anyone against me." He pulled her closer, burying his face in her hair. "Then you stopped on that road. and all my carefully constructed defenses crumbled. "I'm not Sarah," Elena said firmly. "I know what I'm walking into, and I'm choosing it anyway." "3 more days," he murmured. "3 more days to make sure you understand everything." "Then you'd better start teaching me," Elena said, pulling back to look at him. "About the wolves, the packs, the politics, everything I need to know to survive in your world." A slow smile spread across Damien's face, the first genuine one she'd seen from him. "All right, Nurse Elena. Let's start your education in lycanthropy." Chapter 6. Secrets Unveiled. The education began immediately and intensively. Damien taught her to recognize the scent markers that wolves left, invisible to human senses but clear once you knew what to look for. He showed her the subtle body language that indicated dominance or submission, aggression or acceptance. He explained the complex hierarchy of pack structures, the old laws that governed their kind. "The Silvermane pack has historical claim to parts of this territory," he admitted as they walked through the forest behind the cabin. 100 years ago, there was a treaty. The Cross Pack got the mountains and the valley. Silvermane got the coastal regions. What changed? Population growth, urban development. The coastal regions became cities, harder for wolves to navigate. The Silvermanes want the wild lands back. He paused, scenting the air. Plus, their alpha, Roman, has a personal vendetta. His grandfather was killed by mine in a territorial dispute. So this is about revenge? Partly, but mostly it's about power. If Roman can take down the last Cross Alpha, absorb our territory, his pack becomes the strongest in the Pacific Northwest. Elena absorbed this as they walked. The forest was beautiful in the late afternoon light, all golden beams and deep shadows. She was starting to see it differently now, noticing the trails that weren't quite human-made, the marks on trees that meant something more than random scratches. Could you negotiate? Share the territory somehow? Damien's laugh was bitter. Wolves don't share. We're territorial by nature. The only reason packs work is absolute hierarchy. Everyone knows their place, follows the alpha's law. But you don't have a pack, which is why I'm vulnerable. He stopped, turning to face her. There's something else you need to know, about the mate bond. Elena's pulse quickened. What? If we complete it, you'll change. Not into a wolf, that's genetic, can't be transmitted. But you'll be more, stronger, faster, able to heal quickly. You'll be able to sense the pack bonds, feel what I feel to some degree. That doesn't sound bad. It also means you'll be recognized as a wolf's mate by others of our kind, protected by some, targeted by others, and, he hesitated, you'll likely outlive most humans. Mates age slowly, matching their wolf's lifespan. Elena considered this. How long do wolves live? 2, maybe 300 years, if we're not killed. The number should have been shocking, but somehow it wasn't. And you're how old? 35. Still a pup by our standards. He touched her face gently. You'd be signing up for centuries, Elena. Centuries of this life, this danger. Centuries with you? If you'd have me. She leaned into his touch. Tell me about the bonding ceremony. Damien's eyes darkened. It happens under the full moon, when the wolf is strongest. We claim each other. Marking, scenting, binding our life forces together. It's intense, primal. Once it starts, it can't be stopped. Marking? He traced a finger along the curve where her neck met her shoulder. Here, the wolf bites, leaves a mark that never fully fades. It tells every supernatural creature that you're claimed, protected. Elena shivered at his touch. Does it hurt? I'm told it's overwhelming. Pleasure and pain mixed. The bond snapping into place can be disorienting. His hand dropped. Some humans don't survive it. What? If the human isn't truly compatible, if they're not really the wolf's mate, the bonding can fail. It's rare, but... He turned away. Another reason I wanted to spare you this. But you said your wolf recognized me. It did. It does. But recognition and compatibility aren't always the same thing. He faced her again, his expression tortured. I could lose you in the very act of trying to keep you. Elena stepped closer, taking his hands. Or you could gain everything. We could gain everything. Before Damien could respond, his phone rang. The mundane sound was jarring in the mystical atmosphere they'd created. He frowned at the screen. It's Nathan, my cousin. He answered, his expression growing increasingly grim as he listened. When? How many? I see. Yes, she's with me. We'll be there. He hung up, his face pale. The Silvermane pack attacked one of our business holdings in the city. 3 security guards dead, all human. They're escalating. Oh my God. Nathan's called an emergency gathering. The few cross wolves left are meeting tonight. He looked at her intently. You need to come. If you're going to be part of this world, they need to meet you. Will they accept me? I don't know, but without their support, we have no chance against Silvermane. 2 hours later, Elena found herself in a warehouse on the outskirts of Seattle, surrounded by wolves in human form. There were only 6 of them besides Damien. 3 men, 3 women, all bearing the distinctive amber eyes of the Cross bloodline. Nathan, who looked like a younger version of Damien, was the most receptive. So you're the one who's got our mighty alpha tied in knots? He said with a grin. About time someone did. Nathan, Damien warned. What? It's true. You've been alone too long, cousin. Nathan's expression sobered. Though your timing sucks, Silvermane's not playing anymore. They killed humans, one of the women, Rebecca, said. That breaks the accords. We could go to the council. The council won't care. The oldest of them, a man named James, said. Human casualties are considered acceptable if they can be explained away, and Roman's too smart to leave evidence. So what do we do? Another woman, Lisa, asked. We can't match Silvermane's numbers. We could if we actually formed a pack, Nathan said, looking at Damien. If we stopped pretending we're human and embraced what we are. You all chose to leave, Damien reminded them. I didn't force anyone away. You didn't exactly encourage us to stay either, Rebecca countered. After Sarah died, you shut everyone out. Made it clear you wanted to be alone. That was my choice to make. And it affected all of us, James said firmly. A pack needs an alpha, yes, but an alpha needs a pack. We've all been drifting, lost, because you decided isolation was easier than connection. Elena watched the dynamics, understanding dawning. You all want to come back, she said quietly. You want a pack, but you've been waiting for him to ask. 6 pairs of amber eyes turned to her, then to Damien. Is that true? Damien asked, looking stunned. Nathan shrugged. We're cross wolves. This is our territory, our legacy. But you made it clear you wanted to handle things alone. I was trying to protect you. We don't need protection, Rebecca said. We need purpose. We need pack. Damien looked around the room, then at Elena. She could see the struggle in his eyes, the desire for connection warring with the fear of loss. If we do this, he said slowly, if we reform the cross pack, Silvermane will come for all of us. They're coming anyway, James pointed out. At least together we stand a chance. And with a mate bond in place, you'll be stronger, Lisa added, looking at Elena with interest. A mated alpha is twice as powerful as a lone one. The full moon is in 2 days. Damien said. If we're doing this, it needs to be then. The pack bonds can be renewed at the same time as the mate bond. If she survives it, James said bluntly. She will. Damien's voice carried absolute certainty. She's stronger than she knows. Elena felt the weight of 7 werewolves' attention on her. So what happens now? Now, Nathan said with a grin that showed too many teeth. We prepare for war. Chapter 7. The Calm. Before the next 2 days passed in a blur of preparation, the Cross Wolves moved into defensive positions around Damien's territory, setting up a perimeter that would alert them to any Silvermane incursion. Elena found herself at the center of a crash course in pack dynamics, with each wolf teaching her something different. Rebecca showed her basic self-defense moves that would work against werewolves. Go for the eyes and throat, she advised. We heal fast, but those areas are still vulnerable. Lisa taught her about pack hierarchy and the subtle body language that could mean the difference between respect and challenge. Never show fear, she said. Even if you're terrified, wolves respect courage. Nathan, surprisingly, gave her lessons in werewolf history and law. There are rules, he explained, ancient ones. Romans already broken several by killing humans so openly. If this goes to a formal challenge, that could matter. But it was James, the oldest and most skeptical, who gave her the most valuable advice. The bond will try to consume you, he said bluntly when they were alone. Your instinct will be to fight it, to maintain your sense of self. Don't. What? Surrender to it. Let it take you. The more you fight, the more likely it is to fail. His amber eyes were serious. My wife fought it. She wanted to keep her independence, her human life separate. The bond broke her mind instead. Elena's blood chilled. What happened to her? She lives, but she's empty. The bond half-formed then shattered, taking parts of both of us with it. He looked older suddenly, worn. Damien's wolf chose you. Trust that. Trust him. Let go completely, and you might just survive intact. That evening, the night before the full moon, Elena found Damien on the roof of his house, staring out at the darkening sky. She climbed up to join him, settling beside him on the flat observation deck he'd built there. Second thoughts? She asked. 1,000 thoughts, he admitted. I keep thinking about all the things that could go wrong. And then I think about the alternative, letting you go, watching you leave, going back to the emptiness. And I know I can't. He turned to her, his eyes already starting to glow with the approaching moon's pull. I'm selfish, Elena. I should send you away, keep you safe. But I can't. Good, because I wouldn't go. She leaned against him, feeling the unnatural heat of his skin. Tell me about Sarah. Damien stiffened. Why? Because she was important to you. Because what happened to her shaped who you became. Because I want to know all of you, not just the parts you think I want to see. He was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, slowly, he began to speak. She was my best friend's sister. Knew about wolves from childhood, grew up around us. She was light. Always laughing, always pushing me to be better, to engage with the world instead of hiding from it. His voice grew soft with memory. She wanted to be a teacher, had just gotten her degree when it happened. You loved her. I did, not as a mate, but as someone precious. Someone who saw me as just Damien, not the cross alpha, not the wolf, just me. He pulled Elena closer. I thought I'd never feel that again. Then you stopped on that road, looked at me half transformed and bleeding and didn't run. You saw me, all of me, and didn't run. I'll never run, Elena promised. Even if the bond fails, even if... She silenced him with a kiss, pouring all her certainty, all her choice into it. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she could see the wolf looking out of his eyes. "Tomorrow," she said. "Tomorrow," he agreed. They stayed on the roof until the sky lightened with dawn, holding each other and watching the stars fade. Neither slept. There would be time for sleep after, if there was an after. As the sun rose, Nathan appeared at the base of the house. "We have a problem," he called up. Damien was on his feet instantly. "Silvermane?" "Worse. Romans called for formal challenge. Single combat, winner takes all." Nathan's face was grim. "Tonight, under the full moon." "He can't," Elena protested. "The bonding ceremony takes precedence," James said, appearing beside Nathan. "It's old law. A formal challenge supersedes everything, even mating." "Then we refuse," Elena said. "We can't," Damien said quietly. "Refusing a formal challenge means forfeiting. Losing everything, territory, pack, life." "This is Roman's play," Rebecca said, joining them. "He knows you'll be weakened, fighting the mating urge while trying to battle. He's counting on it." "Then we delay." "We can't," Damien repeated. "The challenge is for tonight. Moonrise." He looked at Elena, and she saw desperation in his eyes. "If I lose, the pack goes to Roman, including you as an unmated potential." "What does that mean?" "It means Roman could claim you for his pack, force a bond with one of his wolves." Nathan's hands clenched into fists. "It's happened before. Stealing another alpha's potential mate is considered a prize." "Over my dead body," Elena said flatly. "That could be arranged too," James said bluntly. "Roman's not known for his mercy." Damien pulled Elena against him, a growl building in his chest. "I won't lose." "You'll be fighting your own instincts," Rebecca pointed out. "The moon will be calling you to mate, not fight." "Then we mate first," Elena said, "before the challenge." "There's not time," Lisa said, appearing with the last of their small pack. "The ceremony takes hours. The challenge is at moonrise, about 8 tonight." "Then we do both," Elena said, an idea forming. "We start the ceremony, form the bond partially, then complete it after he wins." "That's insane," James said. "A partial bond is dangerous. If it's interrupted, it could kill them both," Lisa finished. "Or it could give him the edge he needs," Elena argued. "You said a mated alpha is stronger. Even a partially mated one should be more powerful than a lone wolf." The cross wolves exchanged glances. "It's never been done," Rebecca said slowly. "Starting a mate bond, then stopping it partway." "Because most wolves can't stop," Nathan said. "Once it starts, the instinct is to complete it, or die trying." "I can stop," Damien said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. "If it means keeping Elena safe, I can stop." "You'd be fighting both Roman and your own wolf," James warned. "The pain alone could incapacitate you. Or it could make me desperate enough to win quickly." Damien looked at each of his pack members. "We're out of options. Roman played this perfectly. This is our only chance." "Then we'd better prepare," Nathan said. "We have 12 hours to figure out how to do something that's never been done before." 11 hours, Rebecca corrected, checking her phone. "Roman just sent the formal terms. Moonrise is at 7:47 tonight." Elena felt fear spike through her for the first time since this all began. They were gambling everything on an impossibility, starting an unstoppable force, and then somehow stopping it anyway. But looking at Damien, seeing the determination mixed with terror in his eyes, she knew they had no choice. They would do the impossible, or die trying. Chapter 8. Bonds and Battles. The preparation was meticulous and fraught with tension. Nathan and Rebecca worked to create a ritual circle that might help contain the bonding energy, allowing them to pause it midway. Lisa gathered herbs and talismans from the old traditions, anything that might help. James stood guard, watching for any sign of Silvermane scouts. Elena found herself in Damien's bedroom as the sun began to set, wearing a simple white dress that Rebecca had brought. "Traditional," the other woman had said. "The old ways matter in things like this." Damien entered, and Elena's breath caught. He wore dark pants and nothing else, his chest bare except for intricate marks painted in something that looked like crushed silver and wolfsbane. "Protection symbols," Nathan had explained. "You're beautiful," Damien said softly, his eyes already beginning to glow with the approaching moon. "So are you," Elena replied, meaning it. The painted symbols seemed to move on his skin, responding to his wolf's proximity to the surface. "Are you ready?" "No," she admitted. "But I'm sure. There's a difference." He crossed to her, taking her hands. "If something goes wrong, it won't. But if it does, then we face it together." She squeezed his hands. "That's what mates do, right?" His smile was sad and beautiful. "Elena Martinez, you are the bravest person I've ever met." "Or the craziest." "Maybe both." Nathan appeared in the doorway. "It's time. The moon rises in 30 minutes." They made their way to the ritual circle Rebecca had prepared in the clearing behind the house. The other cross wolves stood at cardinal points around the circle, their eyes already glowing with shared purpose. "Remember," James said, "you have maybe 10 minutes once the bond starts forming. Any longer and you won't be able to stop. The challenge ground is a 5-minute run from here," Nathan added. "I'll signal when you need to break." Damien and Elena stepped into the circle, facing each other. The moon was rising, its silver light beginning to filter through the trees. Elena could feel the change in the air, electric and wild. "No matter what happens," Damien said, his voice already deeper, rougher. "Know that I love you." "I love you too," Elena replied, surprised to realize she meant it. 3 days of knowing him, but it felt like a lifetime. The moon crested the tree line, and Damien's control shattered. The transformation was instant and partial. He became something between man and wolf, magnificent and terrifying. His eyes were pure goldfire, focused entirely on her. "Mine," he growled, the word barely human. "Yours," Elena agreed, tilting her head to expose her throat. He was on her in an instant, not violent but overwhelming. His arms caged her, his body pressed against hers, his mouth at her throat. She felt the sharp press of fangs, not breaking skin yet but present, waiting. "Together," she whispered, her hands coming up to grip his shoulders. He bit down. The pain was sharp, bright, but immediately chased by something else. Connection. Elena gasped as she felt Damien's consciousness brush against hers, wild and possessive and desperately in love. She could feel his wolf, ancient and powerful, recognizing her as its other half. The bond began to form, golden threads of energy wrapping around them both. Elena felt herself changing, every cell in her body singing with new power. She was stronger, faster, more. She could smell the forest, hear the heartbeats of the wolves around them, feel Damien's emotions as if they were her own. "Mine," his mental voice echoed in her head. Finally, completely mine. "Yes," she responded, amazed that she could. "Yours. Always." The bond deepened, pulled them under. Elena felt herself dissolving, her consciousness merging with Damien's. She understood now what James had meant about surrendering. Fighting this would be like fighting the tide. So she let go, let herself flow into Damien as he flowed into her. She saw his memories, childhood transformations, terrified and alone. Sarah's death, the guilt and rage that followed. Years of isolation, building walls, denying his wolf's need for connection. And then her, stopping on a rainy road, changing everything. 5 minutes, Nathan's voice seemed to come from very far away. Damien snarled, his arms tightening around Elena. The bond was only half formed, threads of connection established but not sealed. Breaking it now would be agony. "We have to stop," Elena managed to say, though every instinct screamed against it. "Can't," Damien growled. "Need to finish. Need to claim." "After," Elena promised, using every ounce of her new strength to push him back slightly. "After you win. Complete it after." The mention of the challenge seemed to partially break through his haze. His eyes flickered between gold and amber, man and wolf fighting for control. "Roman," he snarled. "Yes, Roman's waiting. You have to fight." 7 minutes, Nathan called, desperation in his voice. With a roar of pure anguish, Damien wrenched himself away from Elena. The partial bond screamed at the separation, and Elena fell to her knees, gasping. It felt like half her soul had been torn away. Damien was worse. He was fully transformed now, a massive black wolf pacing the edge of the circle, howling his rage and pain. His eyes never left Elena, the need to return to her, to complete what they'd started, visible in every line of his body. "Go," Elena managed to say. "Win. Come back to me." The wolf's howl turned mournful, but he turned and ran toward the challenge ground, the other cross wolves following. Elena stayed on her knees, Rebecca supporting her. "You did it," the other woman said, amazement in her voice. "You actually stopped mid-bond." "It hurts," Elena gasped. The partial bond was like an open wound, raw and bleeding energy. "It'll hurt worse if he loses," Rebecca said grimly. "Come on, you need to witness this." They made it to the challenge ground, a natural amphitheater in the forest, just as Roman arrived with his pack. The Silvermane Alpha was massive even in human form, with silver hair and cold gray eyes. He took one look at Damien, who was still in wolf form, pacing and snarling, and laughed. "Started something you couldn't finish, Cross?" Roman taunted. "I can smell the incomplete bond from here. You're weakened, distracted. This will be easier than I thought." Damien's response was a roar that shook the trees. "Challenge rules," Nathan said formally. "Single combat, no interference. Victor takes territory, pack, and spoils." "Agreed," Roman said, already beginning to transform. His wolf form was silver-gray, nearly as large as Damien's black wolf. They circled each other, two apex predators seeking weakness. Roman struck first, going for Damien's throat. Damien twisted away, but not fast enough. Roman's teeth scraped his shoulder, drawing blood. The Silvermane wolves howled their approval. Elena felt the wound through the partial bond, gasped at the echo of pain. But she also felt something else. Damien's rage, his determination, his desperate need to survive this and return to her. The wolves clashed again, a blur of teeth and claws. Roman was skilled, strategic, using Damien's distraction against him. Every time Damien gained advantage, the partial bond would pull at him, demanding completion, and Roman would exploit the momentary lapse. "He's losing," Lisa whispered. Elena stepped forward. "Damien," she called, her voice carrying across the clearing. The black wolf's head turned toward her, and Roman took the opening, slamming into Damien's side, sending him rolling. Roman pinned him, teeth at his throat for the killing blow. "I'm here," Elena called, pouring all her strength through the partial bond. "I'm waiting for you. Finish this and come back to me." She felt Damien's wolf respond, felt the bond flare with renewed energy. With a surge of power that surprised everyone, Damien threw Roman off, regaining his feet, The fight changed then. Damien stopped fighting the bond and started using it, drawing on Elena's presence, her strength. He became faster, more focused. When Roman lunged again, Damien was ready, catching the silver wolf mid-leap and slamming him to the ground. In seconds, Damien had Roman pinned, teeth at the other alpha's throat. "Yield," Nathan called. Roman struggled for a moment, then went limp, tilting his head to expose his throat fully. Submission. "I yield," Roman said once Damien allowed him to transform back to human. "The territory is yours." "Leave," Damien growled, still in wolf form. "Take your pack and leave. Don't come back." Roman stood slowly, his eyes finding Elena. "You're stronger than I thought, Cross. The bond, even partial. I've never seen anything like it." "Because you've never had a true mate," Rebecca said. "Just convenient alliances." Roman's jaw clenched, but he signaled his pack. They melted into the forest, defeated and diminished. The moment they were gone, Damien collapsed. Chapter 9. The Completion. Elena ran to Damien as he transformed back to human, his body shaking with the effort of maintaining the partial bond while fighting. Blood seeped from numerous wounds, and his skin was fever-hot. "Need to... finish," he gasped, his eyes wild. "Can't hold it. Much longer." "The circle," Rebecca said urgently. "Get him back to the circle. The bond needs to be completed in sacred space." Nathan and James helped carry Damien back to the ritual circle, Elena never letting go of his hand. The partial bond was deteriorating. She could feel it, like holding water in cupped hands. It was slipping away despite their best efforts. They placed Damien in the center of the circle, and Elena immediately lay beside him, pulling his head into her lap. "I'm here," she whispered, stroking his hair. "We can finish this now." "Might not. Be gentle," he warned, his control visibly fraying. "The wolf, it's desperate." "I trust you. I trust us." The crosswolves reformed their cardinal points around the circle, their combined energy helping to contain what was about to happen. "When you're ready," Nathan said. Damien pulled Elena down to him, their eyes meeting. The amber was almost entirely gone, replaced by wild gold. "Mine," he growled. "Yours," she confirmed. "Complete it. Make me yours entirely." This time, when he bit down on the mark he'd already made, the bond exploded between them. Elena cried out, not in pain, but in overwhelming sensation. She could feel everything, Damien's thoughts, his memories, his wolf's ancient presence. But more than that, she could feel the essence of him, the core of who he was, protective, loyal, lonely for so long, now desperate to never be alone again. Strong but gentle, dangerous but controlled. Hers, completely and irrevocably hers. The bond wrapped around them both, no longer threads but chains of golden fire, binding them at a level deeper than physical. Elena felt her body changing more dramatically now, her senses sharpening beyond human normal, her strength doubling, tripling. She could hear the heartbeat of every wolf present, smell the forest in impossible detail. "Can you hear me?" Damien's voice in her mind, clear as speech. "Yes. God, yes. Look at me." She opened eyes she hadn't realized she'd closed. Damien's face was above hers, fully human again, but transformed by wonder. "Your eyes," he breathed. "They're gold. Not fully, but flecked with it. Beautiful." Elena reached up to touch his face, marveling at how she could feel his emotions through her fingertips. Love, relief, possessive satisfaction, and underlying it all, a peace she didn't think he'd ever felt before. "It's done," Rebecca said softly. "The bond is complete." Elena sat up slowly, helped by Damien, who seemed unable to stop touching her. Hand on her back, fingers in her hair, palm against her cheek. "How do you feel?" Lisa asked. "Different," Elena said, then laughed at the inadequacy of the word. "Everything's more, clearer. I can feel all of you, like threads connecting us." "Pack bonds," James explained, and for the first time since she'd met him, he smiled. "You're truly one of us now. The bond with Damien makes you pack family." "Welcome, sister," Nathan said, grinning broadly. "Though I have to say, that was the most insane thing I've ever witnessed. Stopping mid-bond to fight a challenge? That's going in the history books." "Let's not make a habit of it," Damien said, pulling Elena closer. "I never want to feel that again, being separated from you while the bond was forming. It was agony." "But it worked," Elena pointed out. "Roman's gone, the territory's secure, and we're here, together." "Together," Damien agreed, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Then he looked at his assembled pack. "All of us. The cross pack is officially reformed, if you'll have me as your alpha." "You're already our alpha," Rebecca said. "Always have. Been. We were just waiting for you to remember that." "And now you have an alpha female," Lisa added, looking at Elena with approval. "The pack hasn't had one in 50 years. "Alpha female?" Elena questioned. "The alpha's mate," James explained. "Equal in authority, the heart of the pack while the alpha is its strength. It's a position of tremendous responsibility." Elena felt the weight of that, but also the rightness of it. Through the bond, she could feel Damien's pride, his joy at having not just her, but his pack restored. "We should celebrate," Nathan suggested. "It's not every day we defeat Silvermane, reform the pack, and complete a mate bond that by all rights should have killed everyone involved." "Tomorrow," Damien said, his voice rough with exhaustion. "Tonight, I need—" He looked at Elena, and she felt the wave of need through the bond, not just physical, but emotional. The need to be alone with her, to solidify their connection without audience. "Go," Rebecca said, understanding. "We'll patrol tonight. Make sure Silvermane is really gone. You two need time." Damien stood, pulling Elena up with him. She swayed slightly, the changes in her body still settling, and he immediately steadied her. "The house is yours," Nathan said. "We'll stay at the safe houses tonight." The walk back to Damien's house was quiet, but the bond hummed between them, a constant conversation without words. Elena could feel Damien's amazement that she was really there, really his. She could feel his wolf, satisfied and possessive, finally at peace. Once inside, Damien led her to his bedroom. Their bedroom now, she realized. The marks from the ritual had faded from his skin, but new ones had taken their place. Thin silver lines that traced where the bond had settled into him. "You have them too," he said, tracing a finger along her collarbone where matching lines shimmered. "Bond marks. They'll fade to invisibility in a few days, but they'll always be there, under the skin." "Beautiful," Elena said, looking at their reflection in the mirror. They looked different, not just the marks or her gold-flecked eyes, but something indefinable. They looked like they belonged together, two halves of a whole finally united. "Are you okay?" Damien asked, concern bleeding through the bond. "The change, the fight, everything. It's a lot." "I'm perfect," Elena said, turning in his arms. "For the first time in my life, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." "Even though you're now bound to a werewolf, part of a pack, living in a world most humans don't even know exists?" "Especially because of all that." She reached up to cup his face. "I was sleepwalking through life, Damien. Going through the motions, accepting less than I deserved because I didn't think I deserved more. You woke me up." "You saved me first," he countered. "On that road, in the storm. You stopped when no one else would have. I think we saved each other. Damien kissed her then, deep and possessive, and Elena felt the bond flare between them, settling deeper into their bones. She understood now that this was just the beginning. They would have centuries to learn each other, to build their pack, to face whatever challenges came. But tonight, they had each other, and that was enough. Chapter 10. New Beginnings. 3 weeks later, Elena stood in the kitchen of what was now truly their home, watching the cross-pack gather for what had become a weekly tradition: family dinner. The house that had once felt like a beautiful but empty shell was now filled with life and laughter. Nathan was arguing with Rebecca about patrol schedules while Lisa helped Elena with dinner preparation. James sat by the massive windows, keeping watch out of habit more than necessity. Silvermane had honored the challenge results and retreated entirely from the territory. "You're getting good at this," Lisa commented as Elena expertly seasoned the massive roast that would feed 7 werewolves. The cooking, the pack dynamics, all of it. "I had a good teacher," Elena replied, smiling at the other woman who had become a close friend. "Though I still can't believe how much you all eat." "Fast metabolisms," Nathan called from the living room. "It takes a lot of energy to transform." "Speaking of which," Damien said, entering from his study, "we need to talk about your training, Elena." She turned to him, feeling the familiar warmth that came with his presence. The bond had settled over the past weeks, becoming less overwhelming and more comforting. A constant connection that assured her she was never alone. "What training?" "Self-defense, advanced sensory control, understanding your new abilities." He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "You're stronger and faster now, but you need to learn to control it." "She broke the kitchen door yesterday," Lisa tattled with a grin. "Pulled it right off its hinges." "I was in a hurry," Elena defended. "And I fixed it." "With duct tape," Rebecca laughed, joining them in the kitchen. "We need to teach you proper home repair too, apparently." The easy camaraderie still amazed Elena. 3 weeks ago, she'd been alone, betrayed, adrift. Now she had a family, a purpose, a home. The bond with Damien had brought so much more than just a mate. It had brought her a whole new life. "Any word from the council?" James asked, his voice serious. The council, the governing body of supernatural creatures that Elena was still learning about, had requested a formal report about the challenge and the unusual circumstances of the mate bond. "They want to meet Elena," Damien said, his arms tightening around her. "Next month, in Seattle." "Is that bad?" Elena asked, feeling Damien's tension through the bond. "Not necessarily," Nathan said. "They're probably just curious. A partial bond that both parties survived, used to win a challenge? That's unprecedented." "They might also want to formally recognize the pack's reformation," Rebecca added. "Having an active cross-pack again changes the power balance in the Pacific Northwest." "Whatever they want, we'll face it together," Damien said firmly. "All of us." Together, the pack echoed, and Elena felt the truth of it through the pack bonds. These people would stand with them against anything. Later that evening, after the pack had dispersed to their various duties, Elena and Damien walked through the forest behind the house. It had become their nightly ritual, patrolling their territory together. "Do you miss it?" Damien asked suddenly. "Your human life?" Elena considered the question. "Parts of it. My work at the hospital. I'd like to go back part-time eventually. Some of my friends, though most of them were more Marcus's friends than mine." She paused. "But miss my old life as a whole?" "Number, this is better." "Even with the danger, the politics, the monthly transformations you have to deal with. Even with all of that." She stopped walking, turning to face him. "Do you know what I have now that I never had before?" What? Certainty. I know who I am, where I belong, who I belong with. There's no doubt, no second guessing, no wondering if I'm settling or if there's something better out there. She reached up to touch the mate mark on her neck, now fully healed, but still sensitive. This is it. You're it. Damien's eyes glowed in the darkness, and she felt his wolf's satisfaction through the bond. You're it for me too. Forever. Forever's a long time for wolves, Elena teased. Not long enough, Damien replied seriously. Not nearly long enough. A howl echoed in the distance, Nathan signaling all clear from his patrol route. Other howls answered, the cross-pack checking in, confirming their territory was secure. Should we head back? Elena asked. In a moment. Damien pulled her against him, and Elena could feel there was something else on his mind. What is it? I've been thinking about what Roman said, about true mates versus convenient alliances. And? He was wrong about us being rare. True mates aren't rare. Wolves just stopped looking for them. They settled for arranged matches or political alliances, forgot what real connection felt like. He cupped her face in his hands. But we remembered. We found each other against all odds. A human and a billionaire werewolf, Elena laughed. What are the odds? Impossible odds, but here we are. Here we are, Elena agreed, standing on her toes to kiss him. As they walked back to the house, hand in hand, Elena reflected on how much had changed. 3 weeks ago, she'd been a heartbroken nurse, driving through a storm, running from a life that didn't fit. Now she was something more, mate to an alpha, member of a pack, part of a world she'd never imagined existed. The house came into view, lights warm and welcoming. Nathan was on the porch, laptop out, handling pack business. Rebecca's laughter drifted from inside where she was apparently beating James at chess. Again. Home, Damien said softly. Home, Elena agreed. As they climbed the porch steps, Nathan looked up with a grin. Hey, Elena, there's someone on the phone for you, from the hospital. They want to know if you're interested in a new position they're creating. Liaison between the hospital and the special community. Apparently someone told them we could use medical services that understand our unique needs. Elena looked at Damien, who was trying to appear innocent. You didn't. The pack needs a healer, he said. And the hospital needs someone who understands that not all patients are entirely human. It's a perfect fit. Plus, the salary is insane, Nathan added helpfully. Damien made sure of that. Elena shook her head, but she was smiling. You're impossible. I'm yours, Damien corrected. Impossible and yours. Mine, Elena agreed, the words settling into her bones with the same certainty as the bond itself. She took the phone from Nathan, ready to negotiate her new position. Behind her, she felt Damien's presence, solid and sure. Around her, the pack moved through their evening routines, the house alive with family. This was her life now, complicated, dangerous, magical, and absolutely perfect. Epilogue. 6 months later. The council meeting had gone better than expected. They were intrigued rather than suspicious, and Elder Catherine, the ancient vampire who led the council, had actually smiled when Elena demonstrated her partial shift. Elongated canines and golden eyes, the most her human genetics would allow. Fascinating, Catherine had said. A human mate who can partially transform. The bonds are evolving, becoming something new. Now, 6 months after that fateful night on the storm-swept road, Elena stood in the forest clearing where she'd first completed the mate bond, surrounded by pack and invited guests from allied packs across the Pacific Northwest. Ready? Lisa asked, adjusting the flower crown on Elena's head. More than ready, Elena replied, smoothing down the white dress she wore. It wasn't a traditional wedding. Wolves didn't really do human ceremonies, but but Elena had wanted something to mark the occasion for her remaining human friends and the few family members who'd accepted her new life. "You already have the mate bond," her sister Maria had said when Elena had explained. "Why do you need a wedding?" "Because I want to celebrate finding him," Elena had replied. "Because surviving everything we've been through deserves commemoration. Because love should be witnessed." Now, as she walked through the assembled crowd toward where Damien waited with Nathan as his best man, Elena felt the rightness of it all. Her co-workers from the hospital were there, including Dr. Kim, who'd become a valuable ally in treating supernatural patients. 3 other allied packs had sent representatives, showing support for the reformed cross-pack. Even Marcus was there, surprisingly, with his new girlfriend. He'd reached out a month ago to apologize properly and return some things she'd left behind. The conversation had been awkward but cathartic. "I never deserved you," he'd admitted. "I see that now. You were always meant for something more." If only he knew how much more. Damien's eyes were glowing as she approached, his love and pride flooding through the bond. He wore a simple black suit, but there was nothing simple about the way he looked at her, like she was his entire world. "Dearly beloved," Nathan began with a grin, having gotten ordained online specifically for this. "We're gathered here to witness something that's already happened. The bonding of 2 souls too stubborn to let little things like species differences and supernatural politics keep them apart." The crowd laughed, and Elena felt tears prick her eyes. Happy tears. "Elena saved Damien on a dark road in more ways than one," Nathan continued. "And Damien gave Elena a world she never knew she was missing. Together, they've rebuilt the crosspack, fought off challengers, and proved that true mates aren't just fairy tales. They're fairy tales with a different spelling," someone called out, and more laughter rippled through the gathering. "Do you have vows?" Nathan asked. "I do," Damien said, taking Elena's hands. "Elena Martinez, you stopped for a stranger in a storm and changed my life forever. You saw the monster and called it beautiful. You faced down an alpha challenge, survived a partial bond, and told the Supernatural Council to their faces that they needed to modernize their record-keeping." More laughter. Elena had indeed given the council a piece of her mind about their archaic filing system. "You are my mate, my anchor, my heart," Damien continued, serious now. "In wolf form or human, in danger or peace, in this century and all the ones to come, I am yours." Elena was crying openly now, not caring who saw. "Damien Cross, you showed me a world of magic and danger and belonging. You gave me a family, a purpose, and a love that transcends anything I thought possible. You trusted me with your secrets, your pack, your heart. In return, I give you all of mine. In this life and whatever comes after, in whatever form we take, I am yours." "Then by the power vested in me by the internet and the state of Washington," Nathan said grandly, "I now pronounce you husband and wife, mate and mate, alpha and alpha female. Kiss already, you're killing us with the suspense." Damien pulled Elena into a kiss that was definitely not appropriate for public viewing, but the pack just howled their approval. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, the celebration began in earnest. Hours later, as the party continued around them, Elena found herself standing with Damien at the edge of the clearing, watching their pack, their family, celebrate. "Any regrets?" Damien asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. "Only one," Elena said. She felt his spike of concern through the bond. "What?" "I regret not driving down that mountain road sooner." Damien laughed, spinning her around to face him. "I love you, Elena Cross. And I love you, Damien Cross, wolf and all. Forever? Forever." As if in agreement, a wolf howled in the distance. Not a threat, just a wild creature acknowledging the night. The pack answered with howls of their own, a chorus of belonging that echoed through the forest. Elena tilted her head back and howled too, her human voice mixing with the wolves, different but harmonious. She was home. She was loved. She was exactly where she belonged. The gentle woman who'd saved a drunk stranger on a stormy night had found her billionaire alpha, her pack, her purpose. And he, in turn, had found his salvation in her kindness, her courage, and her unfailing ability to see the man beneath the monster. It wasn't the ending to her story. Wolves lived far too long for this to be an ending, but it was the beginning of everything that mattered. A beginning that would span centuries, filled with love, pack, and the absolute certainty that some things, some people, were worth stopping for, no matter how dangerous the storm. In the distance, thunder rumbled, promising rain. Elena smiled, remembering another storm, another night, another life. "Let it rain," she murmured against Damien's lips. "We've already weathered the worst of it." "Together," he agreed. "Together," she echoed, and knew with bone-deep certainty that whatever storms came their way, they would face them exactly that way. Together. Forever. This story of Elena and Damien captures the intense emotional journey of two lost souls finding home in each other, against all odds. Their love transcends the boundaries between human and supernatural, proving that sometimes the most dangerous choice is also the right one. In a world where monsters are real, perhaps the greatest magic is the courage to stop for a stranger in a storm, and the wisdom to recognize destiny when it appears on a rain-soaked mountain road.